Hello, you guys. It is the start of a new vlog. I have my cheese Danish, which you guys saw me make in the past, in the last clip. And I also have my coffee. It is a nice Monday morning, and that means we are starting a new stack of books. We're starting a new stack of books. So the books we are going to be reading in this vlog is Trespasses. I did not know if I was ever going to read this book. This book has been everywhere. This book was nominated for the Women's Prize, and I did not know if I was going to read this book, but finally I was just like, why not? Why not? Life is for the reading. Life is for the reading. If this book keeps appearing everywhere, why can't I read this book? So Trespasses is going to be the first book we read in this video. Okay. The next book we have is Community Board. I read the synopsis for this book in a bookstore earlier in the year, and I really wanted to get my hands on it. Then I saw it for 50% off, and I said, well, this is my time. So we're going to read Community Board. The next book was just an impulse buy, The Rachel Incident. Read the synopsis at a bookstore, loved the synopsis, and I am going to read it in this video. And the last book I'm going to read was also nominated for the Women's Prize, which is Bandit Queens. I don't know if I'm reading this book physically. We will have to talk when it's time for me to get to this book, but I don't know if I'm going to read this book physically because I think at this point I have seen 4 to 5 people DNF this book, and I don't want to be the 6th. I don't want to be the 6th person to DNF this book. I want to give this book a fair shot, and I don't think physically reading it is probably the way to go if I don't want to DNF it. So this is what we're going to be reading. I'm about to eat my cheese Danish and watch Real Housewives of Potomac and Married to Medicine so that I can get a video up on my main channel about that stuff. I know, whoa, life is so hard. I have to review reality TV for a living. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I will come back when I start reading Trespasses. I don't think we're going to get that far in it today. I'll be proud of myself if I do. But today is kind of like a work day for me, so it'll be a little hard to do all of that. But anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. It is a Tuesday morning. My camera is making it seem like it is lighter in this house than it really is. It is so dark and gloomy outside, which is the perfect time to read. You guys saw I did Tabata this morning. It whooped my ass. I sat on my little floor in my gym room for 30 minutes, but I do have some reading updates. So thus far, I have a coffee. And I have my cheese Danish. This is how the cheese Danish turned out. So good. Yesterday I ate it so good. So we have Trespasses. I keep wanting to say Trespasses as if that's a word. Trespasses. I'm sure probably in the video where I showed this book, I said Trespasses. It's Trespasses. I don't know why this word trips me up. Trespasses. Anyway, first of all, I want to discuss how this book looks. Oh yeah. So this book takes place in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. I'm assuming that is a war between the Irish and the British because we're getting a lot of British and Ireland back and forth, a lot of beef, there's some bombing and all of that stuff. That's kind of the backdrop of this book. But in this book, we are following someone named Kushla. I'm looking at her name because I'm like, Kushla, yes. And so basically she works at a family bar. Her mother owned a bar. she took over the bar with her brother, and that's where she works. And when she's not working there, she is a school teacher. Well, one day a guy comes into the bar and he kind of hits it off with her. She knows of this guy. She knows that this guy is married, but that does not stop her from having an affair with this guy. She starts sleeping with this guy. And also at the same time, there's some issues with this boy in her class, this boy Davy in her class. His father got beaten really badly, almost beaten to death. And that has some issues too, because that's causing a lot of drama in the community. Because like I said, a lot of people do not like the Irish people who are here. There's some religious issues. She is Catholic. I believe the Michael guy is Protestant. What the hell is he? Yep, he's Protestant, so there's religious issues with all of that, and that kind of pretty much starts our story about this girl who's dealing with cultural issues, religious issues, nationality issues, and just, you know, personal life issues. Her mother is a drunkard. Anything else? That's what this book is about. I wish I could explain it better, but I can't. And that's pretty much what is going on. I'm enjoying this book. This book, though, has some stylistic choices that I would rather it not. As you're reading this book, if you're reading this book via audio, this will not matter to you. But if you're reading it physically like I am, there's no quotation marks in this book. There are absolutely no quotation marks in this book. The only time you know that someone said something and something is not in someone's head is because it'll be like, she said, he said, I said. I don't know if it says I said, because I think this book is told in third person. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this book is told in third person. But yeah, it just says he said, she said at the end of their sentence. So when you first begin the sentence, you don't know if you're supposed to take this as actual dialogue. And it just makes it a little bit longer to read. I'm on page 108. And it probably took me like an hour and some to get to that page 108. So that would be my only gripe with it. But I'm just not getting into it. I'm just not getting into it. Feeling my groove. I do like that this is some historical fiction because I've always known about like the Troubles and all that type of stuff, but I never really got the backdrop of it, never really got anything like of people living through it, a story of people living through it, what that dynamic is like. So that's really interesting to have. This is a really interesting book. It's funny in times. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. It has this like creepy vibe to it because you don't know what everyone's real intentions are. You're kind of just dropped into this story. I'm enjoying myself more than I thought I would be enjoying myself at first. It took me a while to get into it because of, like I said, the lack of quotation. So I have to do my hair today because absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I have a date tonight. Therefore, I don't want to look ugly. Me and my man are going out. So I have to wash my hair. I'm going to do a wash and go, so I have to sit under the dryer, and I'm going to finish this book while I sit under the dryer for an hour and a half. I have 178 pages to go. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm about to eat breakfast, and then I'm going to jump in the shower. I will see you guys after I do all that and I finish the book. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. I have finished Trespasses, our first book of the vlog, and I want to discuss with you guys because I'm fresh off finishing it. What I appreciate about this book is a lot of times when you get Women's Prize nominated books that have a lot of critical acclaim, especially in like the literary fiction genre, you oftentimes get books that aren't really grounded. Or they might be grounded, but they're grounded in a way that could be supernatural sometimes, horrific sometimes, like speculative sometimes. You know, they have different elements. It was really refreshing to read a book that was so grounded in realism. Kennedy is not like trying to trick you. Everything that happens in this book is exactly what happens. You're not waiting for like the rug to be pulled from under you. You're just getting this story about this girl in Ireland who is dealing with all types of political and socioeconomic pressure and dealing with all of these people around her. And I really, really enjoyed that. There was something about, it felt like I was on the ground. I was on the ground. I was in Ireland in 1975, you know. I felt like I was there. And I really, really like that. The writing of this book felt so real. Real is the perfect word. Everything about this book felt so real. But my favorite thing about this book, if you read this book, you will see that the author constantly keeps talking about all the violence that keeps happening around. And so you'll be reading a passage and it'll be just a regular school day. She's talking about school stuff. And then all of a sudden she'll be like, 2 people just got shot outside the bar yesterday. Or she'll ask the children, so what's the news? And like a 5-year-old child will stand up and be like, yeah, my daddy just got arrested and my mama died last night. Boom. And they'll sit back down. And there is something that is so fucking clever about that like you gotta get into my my English degree brain to understand why I appreciate something like that. Oftentimes when we talk about violence in communities, or there's books about violence in communities, you have these main characters and they're the focal point, and then in the background is the violence. So like, oh, they're just in a war zone, they're just in the ghetto, they're just in the hood, they're just in whatever, and then you have this main character who is kind of distant from that, or like not a part of that. And if they do become a part of that, it's almost like, ooh, they done fell down the wrong hole. They in with the wrong crowd. So it's almost like they're a different part of everything else that's going on around them. But when it comes to real life, you are everything around you. If you live in a violent environment, that violent environment is not anything special. It's just life. And what I appreciate about this book is the violence she sees around her is just a part of her life. And so when it's brought up, it's not a big deal. It's just like, this is life. And this book does a really good job at making it seem like, look at all the violence. You pay attention to the violence because it's not something you're probably used to, but it's put in this story and it seems so like, that's just life. And it all stirs so well together that you get the full story. So what I appreciate the most about this book is like the realism of it, of talking about this time, which I genuinely know nothing about this time, but I feel like this author's telling the truth. I feel like this author is telling the truth because it feels so goddamn real. So the realism in this book is oh so damn good. I loved it. That is one thing like everyone has gotten right about this book. Now I will take away, this book is so damn boring at times. This book is so damn boring at times. This book is about 300 pages long. I would say that run from about page 100 to page 215, baby, you're gonna be bored. Baby, you're gonna be bored. But then the last 100 pages of this book is really, really interesting. So I gotta take points away from that. Just like, you gotta keep me up. And this book I did struggle to stay awake sometimes in this book, but the reason why this book is gonna get 4 out of 5 stars, there's a soft spot in my heart for kids and teachers who care about kids and teachers who are just trying their best. And the main character in this book has a relationship with one of her students that is so wholesome and so damn good. Like, it tugged at my heartstrings. The kids in this book are so like funny. The kid in the book, he's so funny. He says the like darnest things. The kids say the darnest things. That's my favorite part of this book, was the relationship with the kid in this book. And that's gonna give this book, I have to give it 4 stars just in relationship with the kids. I do not think this book is for everyone. I think if you're someone who really likes to dive into books and like see why authors make certain decisions and like compare books to other books and see how an author chooses to tell this story, I think you would appreciate this book more. This is 100% a book that probably should be read in school, you know, in a seminar, and everyone discuss like the decisions that the author made. But I don't want to say that to make it seem this book is like also not grounded. I think what makes this book good is that it's so grounded. Why there's not quotation marks in none of this book, I do not know. I do not know why they ain't put no quotation marks in the book. But other than that, it's very relatable. Like, this is not a book where you just like, I don't know what the fuck is happening on each page. Like, it's easy to read, but the quotation marks is not there. I appreciated this book, and I just thought, like, the 300 pages I was reading this book, I felt like I was in Ireland. And then all of the violence that was happening in this book, never once did I feel like this is made up, this is stupid, this is not really happening. Like, I was there. Like, every time they would get pulled over by British soldiers, I felt like I was there. When a bomb would drop, I felt like I was there. People getting shot, all this stuff, I felt like I was there. And there was a lot of things working, and I really, really appreciated it. And then this book does this last thing, and I'm gonna leave you on that. She was talking about all the events in her life happening parallel to each other, but not all mixing, but all of these moments make these moments. So even though one thing might not necessarily be causing another one, they're all working parallel to each other in a certain direction. I thought that was also brilliant, like, to sum up like what life is. And yes, I enjoyed it. 4 out of 5 stars. So we are going to move on to another book that I believe takes place in Ireland, The Rachel Incident. I'm gonna read that tomorrow. I'm so happy I finished this book today. I finished my hair, by the way, but it was raining outside today, so I covered my hair right on out. I don't care what nobody say about me wearing my headscarf out the house. Baby, it's humid. You think I'm gonna do my hair today? Sit on a dryer for 2 hours and I'm gonna just let humidity take me out? I ain't going out like that. Sorry. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Peace. Hello, you guys. I have to be honest with you guys. I have not read anything since the last time you guys saw me, but we are going to read The Rachel Incident. Today is the day before Thanksgiving. I am going to be cooking just something small, nothing all that serious. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And we're gonna be reading The Rachel Incident. I am going to go to Korean barbecue tonight because I want some hot pot noodles so bad. I'm probably the only person who go to Korean barbecue to get the noodles. I want to get the noodles so bad. I want 3 bowls of noodles. It is so good. If I could figure out how to make that at home, I've just never tried. I literally would, because it is so good to me. I could eat every single day. And I want some shrimp. I want a little bit of steak, not a lot of steak, because I went out last night too, and I just don't need to be putting a lot on my stomach today. But yeah, that's pretty much all we're going to be doing today. Oh, I'm going to go see The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I did not enjoy the book, but I don't think really you have to enjoy the book to enjoy this movie. I probably will say, like, probably once I get back from seeing the movie, I probably will tell you guys, like, hey, don't read the book, just go see the movie, because that's what I'm thinking it's kind of going to be, a just go see the movie type of thing. You don't need to read the book. Everyone has been asking, should they read the book before they see the movie, and I've already been telling them no. Like, I think the book is an absolute skip. It's so goddamn boring. So yeah, I am excited to see that. So I should be going to do that soon. And then when I get home, I'm probably going to do some reading. I think I'm going to try to get through about 20 pages right now of this book just to sink my teeth into it, because, you know, let's discuss book talk. I think a lot of people enjoy starting a new book. I am one of the few people that is not the case for me. I don't enjoy starting new books. I like being in the thick of a book. I like being in the thick of a book. I like finishing a book. But starting a new book is always a chore for me. Always a chore for me. So I need to just start this book, get a feel for the characters, get a feel for the world, and then I'll be okay with reading, because I don't want to get into a reading slump. I've been doing really good every single week for the past few weeks, getting into my reading. So I want to finish this year strong, because I get kind of emotional about the books I don't read at the end of the year, because it's just like, that's said and done. These are the books I read in 2023. There's so many books that I want to be able to say I read in 2023 that I don't want to take into 2024. So I'm just trying to read as much as possible. Reading has been my main hobby, and so I'm trying to continue to read. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later after I do get some pages read, so we can have a reading update, okay? Hello, you guys. I am officially at the halfway point of the Rachel incident, so I need to come and give you guys my initial thoughts on this book. In this book, we are following a character named Rachel. Rachel is an English student at this Irish university, and basically she has a crush on her professor. And so she wants to seduce her professor. She wants to be able to sleep with her professor because she heard that her professor's wife used to be one of his students, and now they're married, so she thinks she has a chance. So she enlists her best friend named James, and they decide that they are going to seduce the professor together. Now, James is very important to this story because this entire book is about how Rachel knows James. James in the future ends up being very, very famous. So she goes back in time and tells us how her and James became best friends. James was someone who worked at the bookshop with her. She works at a bookshop. She meets James at the bookshop, and they quickly become best friends. They move in together, and she needs him to help her get her professor. And that kind of starts our story. But this book is told in first-person retrospective, which you guys know is my favorite. I love when we get a story with a character who is going back in time to tell us about something, and they're constantly dropping little tidbits, little wisdoms that they now know in the future. I love it. I love it. It's literally like my most favorite thing in books, and that is what this book is doing. And that's kind of how we're learning about Rachel, and we're learning about James and all of that. This book is really, really good. This book is right up my alley. I always say that I am a character girl, and I am, but I'm also a plot girl, but I'm not too much plot. I don't like when a book is solely about characters, and I don't like when a book is solely about plot. I am someone who just needs it at that line. For a book to be my favorite book, they usually toe that line. When you think The Great Gatsby, when you think On Beauty, when you think Mama Day by Gloria Naylor, Sorrow and Bliss, all of those books are character-driven books, but there is a plot in there, and we're getting to know these characters through this plot, but the plot is not too in-depth. The plot is almost the backdrop of the book, and you're just following these characters through this loose plot. So our characters have something to do. There's an idea, but it's not too much the hero's journey. It's not too much the villain journey. It's just these characters going throughout this plot, and it's more about who they are as characters once they get through it. I'm basically saying literary fiction, but you get what I'm saying. And that's what this book is doing. We have interesting characters. Rachel is so interesting. James is so interesting, but there's also a plot here. Something is going on in this book. I'm not going to spoil it, but things are going on in this book that are really, really intriguing. This book is really, really funny. I'm enjoying myself. I am very, very much so enjoying myself. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to finish this book up, and I'm going to come back and discuss it with you guys. And then we'll move on to Bandit Queens, which I told you guys I'm going to listen to on audio instead of reading physically. But yeah, how are you guys? I have my Christmas trees. I have all of my Christmas stuff out. I'm gonna decorate in a couple days. I'm not in a rush because Thanksgiving came early this year. I'm not in a rush. As long as I got my stuff up by December, I'm not the person who rushes to get their stuff out. Like, I got a whole month, to have all my stuff out. I don't need to, I'm not shaking in my boots to get it all out, but I do get really, really excited. But I don't like to shove it in. I like it to already have a time. Like, okay, I'm going to dedicate this day. So that's all I care about the entire day. I don't like having to make room for it and I'm rushing. I don't like that. I like it to be peaceful, relaxing, and all of that. But anyways, the Rachel incident. We are going to read that, come back, discuss it tomorrow. I will see you guys later because it's actually 2 o'clock in the morning. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. It is. So I'm going to talk to you guys later, okay? Peace. Hello, you guys. We are in our wrap-up spot for this video, which means I have finished the Rachel incident. I am going to give this book 5 out of 5 stars. This book was absolutely brilliant. It was such a fun reading experience. There were so many moments reading this book. It made me reflect on my life, and that's not very often that I do that, reading a book. But this book just really opened my eyes to a lot of things about relationships, things about romantic relationships, things about friends, things about family. This book just really hit home this idea of being a young adult, being in your early 20s, being in your 20s, making mistakes, being self-absorbed, and just thinking that the world is going to end, and like how those moments are important, how everything is a part of your story. You go through everything to get to a certain point. This was just really, really good. This book does this thing because I told you this, the main character in this book is writing this story to like she's writing a story, so she's coming in and she's telling us why she's writing this and saying this type of stuff. This book deals with nostalgia and like past so well. Have you ever been to an old city you used to live in, and you'll go past a place where you have memories, and like the place is like shut down, like it doesn't exist anymore, and you get this feeling over you? There's just like this feeling that takes over your body when a place you used to visit or frequent or have all these memories, you see that it's no longer there. That's what this book is kind of able to like put into words. Like it's able to describe that feeling of like nostalgia, of missing, but also like it's this level of appreciating it as well, like something being left in a moment in time as well. Like it being over is also not a bad thing. Like that was a moment in time, and the fact that this place doesn't exist anymore almost hits the idea home that this was just a moment in time. You just had to be there. You can't recreate this moment. That's what this book did really well, to talk about nostalgia and wanting to recreate moments, but needing to move on from moments, and how life will move you on from moments, you know? And then it also has this idea of like everything will be okay in the end as well. Like when you're young, you're in your 20s, you're so self-absorbed and selfish that you really do feel like things won't get better. Things won't get better. How you're feeling is how you're always going to feel. But if you talk to anyone who's older, they always tell you like your 20s happened and like they just, everything worked out the way it worked out, and it's kind of just like a thing that's over. It's never as bad as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is, or it's not going to end as badly as you think it is. And that's just that on that. That's just life, you know? So I really, really enjoyed this book. 5 out of 5 stars. And we are going to move on to Bandit Queens. I wish I had the book, but I don't. I'm going to read Bandit Queens on audio because I have some home stuff I need to do. I have my nails I need to do. I have laundry I need to do. I've already started reading Bandit Queens on audio. I'm not even going to lie. So y'all gonna get like a clip real quick. Well, to you guys it's always gonna be quick because I'm talking to a camera, but like in my life, like I can already give you guys already introduction thoughts on the book because I cleaned my makeup brushes yesterday and I listened to it. So I'm gonna come back quickly, maybe tomorrow morning. I don't know, because I'm about to do my nails tonight. We'll see. Maybe before I do my nails or after I do my nails, I come and talk to you guys about Bandit Queens. So that's what we're going to read next. And yeah, we are moving along. I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. We are here for an initial updates for Bandit Queens. My nails are done. I like the way that they turned out. One second. And so I have to give you an update on the Bandit Queens. I keep calling it Bandit Queens. It is the Bandit Queens. And this book takes us to a small village in India. In this small village in India, a lot of women are getting involved in these arranged marriages that their parents set up for money, and basically they end up with abusive husbands, and these abusive husbands get away with their abuse because in India, they just like many places in the world, the laws against sexual assault, especially against your wife, are just not that good. You are allowed to sexually assault your wife, and then if there is a law against it, a lot of times there is no justice. So a lot of these women feel trapped. Well, in this village, there are people who give out loans, but they only give out loans to the women. So the women have to form loan groups, and through these loan groups, they get loans, and then they all have to come together to pay back the loan, right? Because they're getting the loan as the group, then they all have to come back and pay off the loans. Well, that's where we meet our group of women. We have our main character. She is a widow, so everyone claims. Her husband left and was never seen again. But story around the village is that she killed her husband. She killed her husband, fed him to the dogs because he was abusing her. And so some people see her as the bandit queen because there's this legend about this woman who was constantly beaten and sexually assaulted, and she killed all the people who ever wronged her. So she kind of sees herself as the bandit queen too. Well, there's another person in this loan group. She has a husband who is also abusive, and she's like, yeah, girl, so I heard you killing husbands. I heard you killing husbands. Can you help me kill mine? Can you help me kill mine? And she like, now wait, that's not what I do, that's not what I do. But after a little talk, after a little sympathy, after a little bonding, she's like, let's do it. Let's kill your husband. Let's kill your husband. So we have our two girls setting off on a mission to kill this lady's husband. Things happen, story gets convoluted, and that's what the Bandit Queens is about. People are not giving this book a fair shot. I'm gonna say it. People are not giving this book a fair shot. Like I told you guys, I have seen, I think, at least 5 people DNF this book. This is a book that is not worth being DNF'd. I do not think people are giving this book a fair shot. This book is a comedic take on something very, very serious. Oftentimes when we are talking about violence against women, we are constantly seeing it through this Western eye. We're seeing it through white women. And so seeing a story like this about Asian women and them telling their story, but it's almost... Of course, the women in this story are victims, but I love the amount of agency that the women have in this story. They're clever, they're funny. They make jokes about their own plight, you know, about everything that's going on. Something about it feels really, really real. Even though this book is kind of outrageous, everybody's killing their husbands, everybody wants to kill their husband. Even though it's outrageous, it almost what this type of topic like needs. It's kind of like when I was talking about trespasses, how they constantly she was constantly talking about in that book, the police were doing this person died here, so it made it feel so real. It was showing how common violence was in Ireland in that time. In this book, they're constantly talking about these women being sexually assaulted, these women wanting to kill their husbands, all of that. So it's showing you just how normal it is for these wives to live very brutal lives. And so you almost, the reality of it hits home more in something like this. I think this book is clever. I think this book has its convictions, because one thing about me, I do not like a book that wades in the water, baby. Do not wade in the water. I need a book that is convicted. I need a book that has its convictions, and this book has its convictions. And even with its own, how this story is about these women wanting to kill their husbands, even she interrogates her own idea of that this own idea of revenge. And is the only way a woman's seen powerful is if she gets revenge on people who wrong her? Or can a woman be powerful without being victimized? Without men, do women still get to be powerful? A lot of times when we're talking about women being powerful, it's always someone stripping them of their power and then they rise. But can women just be? Can they just be at this level without a man coming along and brutalizing them? It asks that question too. This book is clever. This book is just really, really clever and really, really thoughtful. And I'm learning so much about Indian culture that I didn't know. I literally feel like I have been dropped into an Indian village. I really, really do. I love the characters. Even the villains in this story are interesting. They're interesting to read from. Everything is larger than life. I am enjoying it. I really, really am. I see why this book got nominated for a Women's Prize, because I think when it comes to this idea of violence against women, this is just a really interesting take on it. And it's fun, but it's also deep. It's over the top, but it's also thoughtful. I don't know. I think this book is not getting a fair shot. I think it's not getting a fair shot by TikTok, the book talks, and the Goodreads. I think it's not. I am enjoying this book, but this reading year for me has been about me enjoying books that a lot of people have not enjoyed, and books I thought I wasn't going to enjoy. I did not think I was going to enjoy this book. I thought I was going to give this book 2 stars, but we're shipping up for a 4 or 5 star read. But that's just been my reading year, you know? I haven't logged this on Goodreads, so I don't know. I'm going to assume this book is sitting like a 360, because let's be clear. This book is loved by critics. Like I said, it got nominated for a Women's Prize, and it might have even been shortlisted for the Women's Prize. I am not sure. But it definitely was a Women's Prize. It was in the Women's Prize. So, like, critics enjoy this book. It's just like sometimes critics and then what people on the streets, I think BookTube, BookTok, whatever that we the streets, right? Goodreads, we the streets, and then you got the critics. It was loved by critics, but I haven't seen the streets love it that much. But I am. I think this book is a whole lot of goddamn fun. So anyways, it is late again, because that's when I choose to read. I was doing my nails. Oh, by the way, I'm reading that on audio. I told you that. I gotta go eat. And I gotta go watch Rap Shit. Rap Shit is my show. It's on HBO Max. I've never really showed my bookshelf. One day, this is like the best view of my bookshelf too. I am going to organize my bookshelf. People ask all the time, people who come into my house, people in the comments, especially on As Told by Kenya, my main channel. I say my main channel, but I be over here a lot. Anyways, my main channel, people always ask, how is my bookshelf organized? By vibes. By vibes. My bookshelf is organized by vibes. There is no organization. There is no organization. Look at that. Look at that. What do you think that is? There absolutely isn't. The only organization comes with like the book club picks right there. Like the book club, that's the only organization that this room don't got no organization. Like, when did it get, like, no, y'all are sitting on a stack of books. I have a stack of books I need to show y'all. Then you got all the books that I've read this month, because I have just been reading, baby. Just read it. That's what I do all day long these days, and I'm enjoying it. There's no organization. There's no rhyme. There's no reason. I think at the end of the year, because here's what I always have to realize. I am going to take all the books off my shelf when I do my end of the year wrap up. So like, I'm like, why organize it? Why organize it if they all have to come down? If they all have to come down, why would I organize it? But that's no way to live. That's no way to live. So once I do my end of the year stuff, I then think I will go in and do some organizing. Nothing that I want to unhaul is on this shelf. I put my unhaul stuff in a closet, and then I do my video on what I'm going to unhaul, and then I get rid of it. But that's when I might do some organizing. So anyways, I'm going to talk to you guys later. Tomorrow, I'm going to finish The Bandit Queens, and then we're going to move on to the last book in this video, which is Community Board, which I'm so excited to read. Okay, peace. Final thoughts on The Bandit Queens. I'm going to do my skincare routine as I give my final thoughts. So I am going to go ahead and give this book 5 out of 5 stars. I genuinely understand the hype that this book got. All you people on my Goodreads who have DNF'd this book, I think you should pick it up and give it another shot. I did read it on audio, so maybe that's what you need to go do. I can't speak for reading it physically, but I enjoyed this book. I think this book was so thoughtfully done. It was able to take a topic that is so hard and is so heart-wrenching and so unfortunate, but it was able to give it some levity, and it was talking about sisterhood and womanhood and how all these women band together to kind of be a safe haven for each other, and it shows that even in the worst of times you can have community, and there's always someone who can empathize with you, and there's always can be someone who cares about you, and you're not going through anything alone. This talked about women having agency over their life, and the fact that this book is like over the top and ridiculous, I think allows for this element of escapism, this element of women reclaiming their stories, and women being able to be who they want to be. You know, if you want to be a bandit queen, if you want to be someone who slays men, who harm women, you can be those things. And that's what this book did. This book also ventured into this like this cozy mystery almost is what it did. And usually I hate cozy mysteries because I find them silly. But this book, because it was talking about sexual assault and violence against women, the silliness almost was needed. Because usually I don't like cozy mysteries because I think they're ridiculous and there's nothing deep about them. I don't think there's anything all that thoughtful about them. But this book, because everything else was so thoughtful, you add in this cozy mystery type element where, like, you know, at the end of a cozy mystery, all these hijinks happen out of nowhere. People are lying, people are scheming, you know, who you thought was someone wasn't this person. That's what was happening. And it all felt so worth it. You wanted these women to have this moment, you know, it felt like a girl's trip almost. I really enjoyed this book. 5 out of 5 stars. This book is going to show up on my most surprising books of 2023 because this book was good. I'm so sorry. I get exactly why. This book is also, I think I said before that this book has a low Goodreads rating. It doesn't. This book has like a 3.9 on Goodreads, and it deserves it. It genuinely deserves it. I'm giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. So anyways, I need to tell you guys, we have book club on Sunday. Our very, very last book club is on Sunday. We are going to be reading Play to Win. That's it. We're going to be ranking all of the books in the book club this year. And yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about next year. So like this book club is kind of just going to be a wrap up. Of course, we'll talk about Play to Win, but like really, I just want to wrap up the year with you guys, talk about our reading year, talk about romance, and then talk about some things possibly that I'm looking forward to next year in the book club, because the book club will be back, baby, for another year, going on our 3rd year. Wow. Yeah, I will see you guys then on Sunday. And I will see you guys next to read Community Board. Peace. Hello, you guys. I am here to give you guys an initial reading update for Community Board. This book is absolutely ridiculous. So in this book, we are following a 29-year-old woman. She has been in a relationship for 10 years. She is married, and one day her husband comes home and decides that he don't want to be with her anymore. He is running off with another woman. This woman is a skydiver. He met her at a work event and they're running off together. He just gave her no real reason. He was just like, I don't want to be with you no more, girl. So they're not together anymore. So she decides she's going to sell her condo. She's going to take some work leave, and she is going to go live with her parents for a little bit until she gets her bearings. So she shows up. Her parents live in like upstate in New England somewhere. She shows up to her parents' front steps and nobody answers the door. She's like, this is weird. So she calls her parents, and her parents inform her that they have moved to Arizona. They did not want to tell her because they knew she would take the news badly. So she gets really pissed off at her parents, and she decides she's not going to talk to her parents, but she's still going to live at this house and just camp out there because she don't got no place else to go. So she is pissed off at her parents, but she realizes that her parents must not have told her because she has a dependency problem on her parents. She was too reliant on her parents. Every time something goes wrong, she goes to her parents for that. So she's like, oh, that's why these people don't want to tell me stuff, because they're worried about my feelings. So she camps into this house, and basically she becomes like a recluse. She only eats microwavable stuff. She stays in the house. She comes up with all these idea scenarios. She writes emails to her ex-husband, even though she doesn't send them. She's trying to get her ex-husband back, and she is just basically spiraling out of control. But as she's spiraling, the community board gets her attention. And so through this community board, she has decided to take on some different activities, and that kind of starts our story. Okay. This book is absolutely insane. Everyone in this book does the darnest of things. They say the darnest of things. I don't even know what the plot of this book is. This book reminds me of the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella, but I'm not sure the quirkiness and the weirdness and our main character being a little bizarre is really hitting like Becky hits in the Shopaholic series, because y'all know I love that series. I find myself sometimes being intrigued and other times like, this is silly. The community board, we get the community board messages in the book, and like sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. Sometimes I just find this to be a little too silly. Like for our main character to be 29, she's really, really silly. So you do have to like suspend a lot of disbelief. If you are someone who likes practicality for things to be grounded, this is not for you. These people the parents are insane, the ex-husband insane, the people in the town insane, the police insane, she insane, like everybody is just ridiculous. But I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it. So we're going to see. This is one of those too close to call. But I do need to show you guys some books I bought. Ignore the Christmas tree. Act like you don't see the Christmas tree. This is not Christmas tree vlogs. I have some books to show you guys because I promised you guys a haul. And so that's what we're going to do. The first book I got was the Saturday Night Ghost Club. If you want to go find out what these books are about, go open Google right now and go figure it out, because I done forgot why I bought these books and I don't want to read a synopsis, because like, I feel like you're not just going to buy a book because you saw me holding it up, are you? Unless it was already on your radar. So if it was already on your radar, you know what it's about. But like, you're going to need me to read it and tell you what it's about before you go buy it. So what's the point of me telling you the synopsis? I bought the Saturday Night Ghost Club because it's short and it's something I can read, and I think it'll be a good time when I get to it next year. Another book that I bought is Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? This book was on my radar. It's nominated in one of the Goodreads categories. I don't care. And it was $8. It was hardcover, $8. It was already on my radar. I would have paid full price for it. If you're going to give it to me on discount, I might as well. So I went and picked this up. I'm excited to get to it. I purchased The Woman in the Purple Skirt. Read the synopsis, was right up my alley. Kind of weird, kind of kooky, but I'm kind of getting into weird and kooky a little bit. So I picked this book up. We'll see. A Raisin in the Sun. I picked this up for a particular reason. So next year, a goal to myself is I want to read old Black books written by Black people that are from the 90s and before, and A Raisin in the Sun would be in that. So that's a big goal of mine, like 2 books a month. I want to just read that from the past. I want to read the past. So I'm trying to like have a section in my library that are all like older Black books. And I realized I did not have a copy of A Raisin in the Sun. And so I got a copy of A Raisin in the Sun. But that is like my #1 goal in 2023, to read like 24 Black books that were published pre-2000s. Goal of mine. The next thing I got, and probably the sketchiest person, was Girl A. I forgot what this book is about. I don't know why I read it, but the synopsis got me. And then I think it said somewhere this was like a modern classic. If you want me to read something, put on the cover a modern classic, because I just feel like I got to read all the modern classics, you know? And so I picked this up. The next thing we have is Family Meal. I saw this. This is also nominated in a Goodreads category, I think. But what made me pick it up was I love the synopsis, and a Black person wrote it. I did not know a Black person wrote this book. Therefore, I had to get it. I'm always supporting Black authors, and so had to get my hands on it. The last book I bought was because of Monty. When it comes to book recommendations, who I listen to the most on BookTube or Goodreads, it is Monty. I will put all of Monty's information down below. Monty read this book, enjoyed this book, and so I told myself, okay, I need to read it. And then I was out book shopping and I found it, and so like I obviously had to get it. And those are the books that I have purchased. So I do have one more book haul that is going to be coming to y'all, because I did do some shopping on the 15% off. I'm covering the Christmas tree. We're not in Christmas vibes. They had a 15% off sale, and I got stuff for it. So like I do have to show you guys that, but that'll be in the Christmassy vlogs, okay? But anyways, I'm going to finish community boarding and wrap up this video, okay? Hello, you guys. It is bright and early, and I am here to wrap up this video. I have finished Community Board. I finished Community Board last night, and I'm going to give this book 2 out of 5 stars. This book was not enjoyable for me. I went back and forth on like, what's going on? Why do I not like this? I said this book reminds me of the Confessions of a Shopaholic series, the way everyone just does the most absurd and outrageous things. So it's not like I can not be on board with absurd and outrageous. I just do not think this book was done all that well. I do not think the pacing of this book makes sense. I don't understand how the plot plans out. We get introduced to characters in the last like 30% of this book who end up being the end of the book, which means the first 70% of this book is really not all that interesting. You could literally read the first 50 pages of this book, see her husband leave her and her move into her parents' house, then come back on the last like 100 pages of this book, and you will be perfectly fine because everything in the middle is just not all that serious. The characters were not that interesting, and baby, I was wondering why when I was reading this book, for this to only be a book that is about 260 pages, why it was taking me so long to read this book. Just like Trespasses, this book doesn't have any quotation marks. I allowed Trespasses not to have any quotation marks because I was just like, you know what? I see other things that this author is doing, and so I'm gonna let it be that. This book ain't even doing anything all that special, and it doesn't have quotation marks. So like, that's just like, what's the point? What is the point? I don't get it. I don't get this new thing of not putting quotation marks in books. It just makes the reading experience really, really hard more than anything. And I'm all for stylistic things, but that coming back, I know there are like other books, classics even, that don't have quotation marks, like Let's Be Serious, but it doesn't change the fact that this did not work for me. Okay, so we have read 4 books in this video. I wanted to say all of them were winners, but I cannot say that. The first book we did read was Trespasses. I think this book is worth picking up. Yes, the fact that it does not have quotation marks is going to turn you off of this book if you are physically reading, but I do think this book just has some interesting things to say. I learned some interesting things about this, and I think the way that this book is chosen to be told, the way that this book is written, the prose of this book, I think is clever and something I really haven't seen lately in books that kind of get acclaim. I really enjoyed this book, 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that we read, and my favorite book of the video, is The Rachel Incident. This is just a good book. Sometimes books are well written and they're really enjoyable, and that is just this book. This book has good characters. This book has a good plot. I like this book, like, touched me in a way a book really hasn't this year. Therefore, I'm giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. Literally no notes. I think this book is perfect. The next book that we read was The Bandit Queens. I said that I've seen a lot of people DNF this book, and I have, and I'm sure I'm just going to see more. But I think people should give this book another chance. This book is really, really enjoyable. This book is taking so many elements and putting them together. It's funny, it's sad, it's a mystery, it's all types of things at once. It's a heist book. It's doing so many things, and I think it's doing all of them well. 5 out of 5 stars. And last, I just told you about Community Board. Least liked book in this video. I'm giving this 2 out of 5. It just did not work for me. I think this book is weird. Like, the entire time I was reading it, I was like, this book is weird. And then this book is called Community Board, but the Community Board only plays a significant part in this book towards the end. That's what I'm saying. This book builds up for 200 pages just for the last 59 pages. Like, and it's just like, huh? So what was we here for 200 pages? Now, I will say something nice about this book. This book does have interesting things to say about community and what we owe our neighbors and surveillance culture and all of that. That I do think this book has interesting things to say about. But everything else, no. Anyways, that is the end of this one. That's the end of our November vlogs. Next month, we have some new things cooking up, some holiday things kicking up. We really do not have any holiday things cooking up. I don't even know if I'm going to read any holiday books. But yes, that is the end of this one. I will see you guys in the next one.